Smart homes are stupid. Okay, maybe that's a little bit harsh, but let's be real. Most so-called smart homes don't make much sense at all. If you're around my age, you probably grew up imagining Tony Stark's Jarvis or the computer on the bridge of the Enterprise. The dream was automation that felt seamless, not something that leaves you shouting at Google, Siri, or the other one to turn on the lights or to play Wonderwall at a party.
Wake up, Daddy's home.
Welcome home, sir.
The next hatchway on your right.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Commander Riker.
What we were promised was unobtrusive, convenient, and intuitive technology that made our lives easier. What we got was more complications.
Hey, Google. Okay, Google.
Don't get me wrong, I still want my home to be smart, just not in the way that comes to mind for those who might have a handful of Hue devices and a couple of voice assistant boxes they use to set a timer or find the meaning of onomatopoeia to settle an argument. In recent years, we've started seeing other smart devices enter the consumer market, like ovens, washers, or even fancy meat thermometers, but their smarts are normally just notifications telling you they're finished, and maybe a way to turn them on and off remotely. Oh, and you'll need a separate app for every device, each one designed like it's still 2003. And good luck when the app stops working in 5 years' time, well before your fancy appliance is worn out. It's handy, sure, but it's not the future of home automation we were promised in the movies. And let's not forget the security concerns. Having dozens of devices constantly pinging servers across the world is a privacy nightmare. Plus, if my smart switch has to call home just to turn on a light, that's a recipe for a slow, frustrating experience. So, how do we fix this? I want a smart home, but I don't want it to become a hassle. No juggling 40 apps, no unnecessarily complicated routines, no proprietary systems, just practical, thoughtful automation. I think the tools to get the smart home I've been dreaming of since I was 12 all exist, but very few people take the time to properly plan their smart home or understand why they want to. So, to put together a practical smart home like any good project, I decided to start with my constraints. This will help me keep on track as I make more additions to the house over time, and will make sure I'm not wasting too much effort and money on things that don't actually matter. First, switches should always work as expected. If you flip a switch, the light should turn on or off, period. Second, no one should need their phone to control the house. Any function that requires a phone should be rare and optional. Third, the house should be intuitive. Guests shouldn't need a tutorial or a manual to turn on a light or adjust the thermostat. Fourth, everything has to run locally. No devices calling out to the cloud for basic tasks. This will help keep things secure and hopefully nice and responsive. And finally, everything should fail safe. If something breaks, it shouldn't cause chaos.
You are in direct violation of Penal Code 113, Section 9. You now have 5
Everything should fail safe. If you're thinking about adding smart features to your home, I really recommend defining your own set of rules. They might be different from ours. It's easy to go overboard. You don't want to buy every smart device you see on special and find a way to shoehorn it into your house. With these guidelines in mind, we had to pick a platform for our smart home. In my mind, there was really only one option, and that's Home Assistant. Home Assistant is an open source self-hosted platform that works with most smart devices right out of the box and has a huge community constantly developing new integrations and add-ons. It also keeps everything local, which ticks every one of our boxes. We'll be running Home Assistant on a Home Assistant Yellow in our network rack. Yes, we could run it in a Docker container on our server, but a dedicated low-power device like the Home Assistant Yellow or the new Home Assistant Green makes a lot more sense to me. I don't have to worry about any of my critical automations failing in the event the server's down for maintenance, and I don't need to keep the much more power-hungry Intel-based server online if I don't need it. By making sure all our smart devices are connected via Home Assistant, our automations are really only limited by our imaginations. We can automate to our heart's content, all while knowing our data is staying local, and that in the event our house decides to go full Skynet, we can just turn it off to assert our dominance. In all seriousness, the offline nature of Home Assistant will not only protect us from bad actors and dodgy software updates, but it'll ensure our smart home is snappy and responsive for everyday tasks and automations. Now, I actually filmed the first half of this video a couple of months ago, and since then I've started putting a lot of those smart home principles into action, which you'll see on the channel soon. But while reviewing this finished video before uploading, I realized I'd never actually told you what we're building. Like, what are we actually doing to make the practical smart home a reality? And I think that's a little bit boring. So here I am weeks later to fix that before the video goes out. Let's talk about some of the projects we're working on and what you can expect to see here on the channel when it comes to smart home content. Step 1 will be laying the foundation. Right now, our home lacks the necessary inputs, the data points that drive useful automations. So the first step is installing a network of sensors throughout the house. We're talking presence detection, temperature monitoring, CO2 monitoring, and motion sensing, the whole 9 yards. But we're doing it properly. No cluttered USB-powered gadgets randomly stuck on walls. Our sensors will be permanently installed, discreetly placed, and seamlessly integrate into the home. There's a full video coming on that soon, so if you're worried about the wife approval factor with your smart home sensors, stay tuned. Step 2 is expanding control. Once we have solid data coming in, we'll start enhancing our outputs, the systems that actually make the automations happen. That means smart lighting, appliance control, climate automation. I'm especially excited about the custom-built ducted zoning system I've got coming. Every room gets its own thermostat and the whole system's optimized for energy efficiency. And you can build it yourself. Step 3 is more of the fun, functional projects. We're going beyond sort of the normal off-the-shelf smart home basics with some DIY projects designed to make daily life easier and more enjoyable. Like an automated greenhouse to have optimal conditions for starting seeds and saving money on herbs. A smart irrigation system for watering the vegetable garden and dosing fertilizer. And then a cartridge-based media player that'll play your favorite shows like they're a Nintendo 64 game for a bit of a nostalgia hit. I'll be documenting every step of the journey right here, so if you're tired of off-the-shelf solutions that only add complexity instead of solving real problems, stick around, subscribe, and see how I think a smart home should work. I'm really looking forward to sharing my ridiculous, overcomplicated, and overly ambitious projects with you all on this channel. So if they sound like something you're interested in, hit subscribe and tell me the sorts of projects you'd like to see in the comments below. And on another note, this channel launch has gone better than I ever could have expected. I'm so glad that my silly little projects are actually interesting to people other than me. So thank you, I appreciate you, and I hope that you enjoy what's coming. Catch you later.